Have you ever felt that you chant, pray, change jobs, ask for blessings, consult astrologers again and again, and yet your fate seems stuck in the same old loop? As if you climb a bit and then fall back to the same dark hole? Have you ever stared at the ceiling late at night and whispered to yourself, wondering what you are doing wrong, and why your life seems to repeat the same patterns no matter how hard you try to break free? Welcome back to this channel, my friend. I am happy you are here. Today we are going to talk about something that sounds simple and almost old-fashioned, yet it reaches straight into the heart of karma, destiny, awakening, compassion, and real practice. We are going to talk about offering. Not just offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on the shrine, not just incense, lamps, flowers, and mantras, but a kind of offering many people overlook their whole life, offering to the two living Bodhisattvas who gave you this body, who gave you this chance at human life, who sit quietly in your kitchen, your living room, your old hometown. The original teaching behind this script says it plainly. If you ignore these two bodhisattvas, if you never truly offer to them, your destiny will be very hard to change. Because the greatest temple of your whole life is not always a golden hall on a mountain. It is the pair of aging shoulders that carried you, the hands that once wiped your face and buttoned your coat, the ordinary people you call father and mother. In this long, story-based talk, we will explore why filial offering is not just a moral decoration, but the main switch that often decides whether your life moves forward or keeps circling back. We will look at why so many people can chant a lot, do many rituals, run too many teachers, yet still feel blocked. We will ask what happens when you bow deeply in front of statues but roll your eyes in front of your parents. And we will discover how turning back toward these two living bodhisattvas and treating your home as your primary temple can quietly rewrite the script of your destiny. Imagine a man named Leo. Leo is serious about changing his fate. He grew up in a difficult environment with financial stress, arguments at home, and a deep sense that he was never truly seen. As an adult, he discovers spiritual teachings. He begins to chant sutras. He buys a small statue, lights incense every morning. When his career feels blocked, he searches online for fortune-changing rituals. Someone tells him to place a certain object in a certain corner of his house. Another advises him to buy a particular charm from a famous temple. A third recommends a special mantra for wealth. Leo does them all. He donates to temples from time to time, especially when he feels afraid about the future. He goes to ceremonies, bows many times, and sincerely prays, asking for blessings for his career, his finances, his relationships. But at home, there is an old woman sitting by the window. His mother. She was the one who carried him for 9 months, who went through labor, who stayed up at night when he had a fever, who worked extra jobs so he could go to school. Now her knees ache when she climbs the stairs. Her hearing is not as sharp. She sometimes repeats the same story 3 times in one evening. When she calls Leo, he often hits the decline button and thinks, "I will call back later." When she asks about his life, he becomes impatient and answers with 1 or 2 words. When she suggests he visit, he sighs inwardly and says, "I am too busy." On social media, Leo posts photos of temple visits, captioned with words like gratitude, blessings, destiny. Under those same photos, his mother leaves a simple comment: "You look good. Take care of your health." He does not even click like. One day, his mother hints gently, "If you come by this weekend, I will make your favorite dish." Leo answers, I have an important event at the temple. There is a big ceremony. I need to go pray for my future." He hangs up, slightly annoyed that she always seems to need something when he is busy. From his point of view, he is very devoted. He gives money to the temple. He chants daily. He follows advice from various spiritual sources. Yet somehow, his life still feels like it keeps looping. His finances improve for a while, then crash again. A relationship starts hopefully, then ends in similar arguments. New jobs look promising. Then the same old frustrations appear. He wonders if he has some special bad karma that nothing can change. Now look at this same story from the angle of karma, gratitude, and inner truth. Before you ever met any external teacher, before you could even say the word Buddha, two people became your first benefactors. They gave you a body. They fed you when you could not lift a hand. They cleaned you when you could not control your own waste. They carried you when you could not walk. They taught you your first words, your first steps, your first sense of safety in this world. From a spiritual perspective, that is not small. That is enormous. Many ancient teachings list the 10 great kindness of parents. They speak of guarding the fetus, suffering through birth, forgetting their own pain and joy at your arrival, giving you the best food while eating the leftovers themselves, sleeping on the damp side of the bed so you can be dry, carrying you when you cry instead of resting, worrying when you travel, grieving over your mistakes, and being willing to endure hardships so you might have a chance. Even if your parents were far from perfect, even if they made serious mistakes, even if they hurt you, the basic facts still stand for most people. They carried you, birthed you, and kept you alive in your most helpless years. That alone is a karmic debt not easily repaid. From the view of cause and effect, your current human life is already a rare blessing. To be born as a human instead of as an animal, a hungry spirit, or in a realm of intense suffering, implies that in previous lives you cultivated certain virtues: generosity, moral restraint, patience, perhaps some offering and support to spiritual communities. The fruit of all that effort arrives in this life as your body, your basic capacities, your chance to encounter teachings about awakening and liberation. And who delivered that fruit to you? Who was the channel through which this human birth became possible? Your parents. So the original teaching calls them to living Bodhisattvas, not because they are flawless saints, but because they are the ones through whom your karmic possibility in this lifetime took shape. Without them, there would be no use sitting here listening to this video, hoping to change your fate. If you think about it this way, it becomes less surprising that ignoring these two beings while running after distant deities does not work very well. It is like trying to build a house by painting the roof while letting the foundation crack. In spiritual language, offering is not mainly about the object given. It is about the heart of gratitude and reverence behind it. When you offer food, clothing, money, or help to your parents with a mind of deep thanks, you are not only feeding their bodies, you are training your own soul. You are loosening the grip of ego that says, "All my resources are mine. My success is mine alone. I owe no one anything." When you erase that arrogance and replace it with humility, something powerful happens in the unseen landscape of your destiny. Now imagine another person, Anna. Anna does not have a lot of money. She works an ordinary job, pays rent, and has her own struggles. But she has one habit. Each month, when she receives her income, she separates a small portion and sets it aside in her mind as for my parents. It might be for their medication, a meal at a restaurant they like but rarely treat themselves to, a warm coat in winter, or simply an envelope with the words, "This is for you. Thank you for raising me." When she visits them, she does not always bring expensive gifts, but she brings attention. She listens to their stories, even when they repeat them. She tries to swallow sharp words when she feels impatient. Some days she fails. She snaps back, rolls her eyes, retreats to her phone. But then, later, she feels that uncomfortable twist in her heart, and she goes back to say, "I am sorry, I spoke too harshly." In her spiritual practice, when she chants, meditates, or does good deeds, she often adds a simple sentence at the end: "May the merit of this practice go to my parents. May their bodies be at ease, their minds less burdened, their karmic weight lighter, their chances of encountering deep wisdom greater." Outwardly, her life does not look spectacular. She does not post dramatic temple selfies. She does not claim to have visions or special powers. But there is a quiet flow in her destiny. Doors open when she needs them. When she faces challenges, unexpected support appears. At crucial moments, she feels an inner strength and calm that surprise even herself. Is this coincidence? From the view of cause and effect, not really. By honoring her parents as living bodhisattvas, by taking care of them as if she were tending the central altar of her life, Anna is constantly cultivating merit, not only because of the physical acts, but because of the inner qualities they train: gratitude, patience, humility, responsibility, and sincere love. These qualities are like good seeds planted in the soil of her mind. When conditions ripen, they bear fruit as changed circumstances, softer relationships, and a more awakened way of moving through the world. Meanwhile, Leo keeps trying one new ritual after another, while the two greatest objects of potential merit for him sit alone, waiting for a call that does not come. This is why the teaching says that if you neglect these two bodhisattvas, it becomes hard to truly change your fate. It is not that divine beings are cruel or petty. It is that your own heart is the main factor shaping your destiny. And ignoring the deepest debt in your life keeps your heart in a state of imbalance. Think about it like this. If a person refuses to acknowledge the ground they are standing on, they will always feel unstable, no matter how beautiful the sky is. Your parents are part of the ground of your existence. If you build your spiritual life while treating them as obstacles, embarrassments, or burdens, something in your practice will always wobble. Of course, many people have complicated, painful histories with their parents. Some parents were abusive, neglectful, or deeply wounded themselves. Some created trauma that still echoes in their children's bodies and minds. In such cases, offering to them does not mean tolerating ongoing harm or pretending everything was fine. It can be more subtle and more internal. Sometimes, the offering is simply this: I acknowledge that through you, I received this body and this chance at human life. I honor that, even if I must keep a distance now to protect myself. I will work to heal my wounds so that the chain of suffering does not continue through me. That healing, too, is a form of offering. It is an offering to life, to future generations, to all beings. It is saying, the pain stops here. I will not pass it on unchanged. So what does it really mean to see your home as the highest temple? It means that washing a bowl for your parents can be as sacred as offering a golden bowl on a shrine. It means that bringing your father a cup of tea with a sincere heart can hold as much power as placing a cup of tea before a statue. It means that stopping yourself from shouting at your mother when she irritates you, taking a deep breath, and answering more gently can generate more real merit than hours of chanting done with a mind full of resentment. One teacher once said that if you cannot be kind to the people you live with, your kindness to distant strangers is not yet rooted. At home, your ego is naked. The masks fall off. The polite smile you show colleagues may not be there. Your tiredness, your stress, your impatience all show. That is why home is such a powerful training ground. If you can practice patience there, if you can bow there, if you can say thank you there, your practice is genuine. Picture an ordinary evening. Your mother calls you into the kitchen to taste a soup she has made. She asks, "Is it too salty?" You are exhausted from work. Your phone just buzzed with an irritating email from a colleague. Your mind wants to say, "I am not in the mood. Why do you fuss about such small things?" In that split second, you stand at a crossroads of destiny. If you let habit drive, you snap. It is fine. Stop asking so many questions and walk away. Her shoulders droop a little. She silently tastes the soup again by herself. If you bring Midden Fulsons into that moment, you might take a breath and think, "She will not always be here asking me this. One day this kitchen will be silent. This soup, this question, this ordinary moment will become a memory I cannot get back." Then you walk over, taste the soup, and say, "It is good. Maybe just a little less salt next time." But it is very comforting. Her face relaxes. A small, simple joy fills the room. No one outside sees this. There is no applause, no social media likes. But in the realm of karma, this small movement of your heart is huge. It is a turn from ingratitude toward appreciation, from ego toward humility, from forgetfulness toward awakening. Now, extend this over years. A life in which you repeatedly choose the first reaction becomes a life marked by coldness, distance, and regret. A life in which you increasingly choose the second reaction becomes a life marked by warmth, connection, and a sense of inner blessing. Your destiny is not only shaped by big dramatic events, it is carved by thousands of tiny choices like this. This is why the teaching insists that taking care of your parents with a sincere heart and dissolve many problems you thought were unrelated. It is not magic, it is alignment. When you care for your parents, you are aligning with gratitude instead of entitlement. You are aligning with compassion instead of self-centeredness. You are aligning with responsibility instead of blame. Those inner alignments change how you speak at work, how you approach challenges, how you treat money, how you respond to opportunities. They change your energy, and that energy changes the way the world responds to you. There is a story often told about someone whose life seemed stuck. He had constant financial troubles. Every time he saved some money, something unexpected would happen: an accident, an illness, a broken piece of equipment. His relationships were unstable. He moved from job to job. He kept visiting spiritual teachers, asking, "Why is my fate so bad? What can I do to change it?" One day, a wise monk listened and then asked a simple question: "How are you with your parents?" The man hesitated and then admitted that he rarely visited them. He felt they were old-fashioned and nagging. When he did go home, he argued with them, showed little respect. He felt they did not understand his life at all. The monk said, "Before buying any more charms or doing any more rituals, try something for 3 months. Visit your parents regularly. Bring them small offerings from your heart. Speak gently. Listen to them. Do your best to ease their worries. Then see what happens." The man was skeptical but desperate. He tried it. At first, It was uncomfortable. He did not know what to say. He felt awkward showing affection, but he forced himself to persist. He cleaned around the house. He repaired something broken. He brought his mother fruit and his father a jacket for the cold. Slowly, the atmosphere changed. His parents, who had long felt rejected, softened. They began to smile more when he came. They stopped repeating some old complaints. Around the second month, the man noticed something else. His habitual anger seemed a little less sharp. He could control his reactions a bit more at work. By the third month, something unexpected happened. An old colleague contacted him with a new job opportunity, with more stability and better pay. It was not a lottery win, not a miracle, but it was a door he had long hoped for. He returned to the monk and said, "Is this because I honored my parents?" The monk answered, "It is because in honoring them, you reshaped your own heart. Heaven and earth respond to a heart that moves from selfishness to gratitude. Your new opportunities are the echo of that movement." Of course, not every story is so straightforward. Life is complex, but the principle stands when you repair one of the deepest relationships in your life. The entire network of your karma can shift. Now, some people might ask, what if my parents have already passed away? Is it too late to offer to them? Is my fate permanently blocked? The answer is no. It is never completely too late to turn your heart. Even if your parents are no longer alive, you can still honor them in many ways. You can speak to them in your heart, expressing regret for past harshness and gratitude for what they did manage to give. You can do good deeds in their name, donating to those in need, supporting spiritual communities, protecting life, and consciously dedicating that merit to them, wishing that wherever they are, their suffering is eased and their path brightened. You can reflect on their strengths and weaknesses, their wounds and limitations, and use that insight to live differently, breaking unhealthy patterns. All of this is a form of offering. It is a way of bowing to the fact that your life came through theirs, and taking responsibility for what you will do with that gift now. In this sense, your greatest temple is not a physical building, but the field of relationships and responsibilities that surround you. Your parents stand at the center of that field. If you pour devotion only into distant altars while ignoring the central field, your practice will always feel split. So, how do you start? Practically, if your relationship with your parents is currently cold, tense, or distant, you start small. You do not have to suddenly become the most affectionate child in the world. You do not have to ignore your own boundaries, but you can choose one concrete action. Maybe it is a phone call once a week where you genuinely listen for a while before talking about yourself. Maybe it is sending a small gift with a note that says, "Thank you for raising me." Maybe it is visiting for a meal without bringing up old arguments. Maybe it is simply softening your tone a little when they repeat themselves. The important thing is not the size of the offering, but the sincerity behind it. In spiritual terms, sincerity is like pure water. Whatever vessel it fills becomes an offering worthy of the sacred. If your mind says, "I will do this just to get better luck," the energy is thin. If your mind says, "I want to heal this bond, I want to honor the source of my life," the energy is deep. Over time, these small acts become a practice as real as any mantra. Each act is a bead on a mala of filial offering. As the beads pass through your fingers, your heart becomes more tender, more awake. There is an old saying that when a tree wants to be still, the wind keeps blowing. And when a child wants to care for the parents, they are no longer there. That regret can be one of the heaviest weights on a human heart. The teaching we are drawing from is a gentle warning against letting that be your fate. It is saying, do not wait until the chair is empty to realize that your parents were your greatest spiritual object of offering. Do not wait until you are arranging a funeral to think of all the meals you skipped, all the kindness you held back. Destiny, in the deepest sense, is not only about external events. It is about whether your heart moves toward awakening or away from it. Whether you widen your compassion or shrink into self-pity. Offering to your parents is one of the most direct ways to move your heart toward awakening, because it confronts your ego in its most stubborn territory. It asks you to see your parents as more than old, nagging figures. It asks you to see them as beings who once were young and afraid, who also carried childhood wounds, who did their best within their limited understanding. It asks you to recognize that honoring them is, in some subtle way, honoring the mysterious chain of life that brought you here. When you bow to that chain, instead of cursing it, something inside you relaxes. You stop fighting the fact that you are who you are. With the history you have, you begin to work with it consciously, transforming what you can, releasing what you cannot change. That inner shift is the true change of destiny. So, my friend, ask yourself quietly, without judgment, how am I treating the two living Bodhisattvas in my life? When was the last time I did something purely to bring them comfort? When was the last time I thanked them? Not mechanically, but from the bottom of my heart. If your answer is, I cannot remember, do not fall into self-hatred. Simply see that here lies a powerful doorway. You have tried many ways to change your fate. You have studied, worked, maybe prayed, maybe cried. Perhaps this is the area you have not yet really touched. Why not begin today? It could be as simple as sending a message that says, have you eaten? Take care of your health. It could be as simple as planning your next visit not as an obligation, but as a pilgrimage to your first temple. When you walk through their door, imagine you are entering a sacred hall. The slippers by the entrance, the familiar smell of their cooking, the old furniture, all become part of a living altar. Your father or mother sitting there is not just an aging person. They are your original benefactor. Your living Bodhisattva. When you pour them a cup of tea, see it as offering water to the Buddha. When you massage their shoulders, see it as tending to the statue in the main hall of your life. When you swallow one impatient reply, see it as keeping the precepts of kindness. As you do this, watch your life over months and years, not with the greedy expectation of quick rewards, but with the gentle curiosity of a practitioner. You may notice that old knots in your heart slowly loosen. You may find that other relationships soften as your capacity for patience grows. You may experience unexpected support in difficult times, as if the universe is quietly acknowledging your shift from neglect to honor. In that sense, you will see that the teaching is true. Ignoring these two Bodhisattvas keeps your destiny tangled. Offering to them opens pathways you could not open by yourself. If you have walked with me all the way to this point, thank you. This means there is already a seed of filial awakening in you, a wish to understand, to heal, to live more in line with compassion and wisdom. I invite you now to reflect on your own story. What is one memory with your parents that still makes you feel regret? What is one memory that still makes you feel warm? What is one small action you can take this week to move from regret toward repair, or from warmth toward deeper offering? If you feel comfortable, share your reflections in the comments. Perhaps your story is about a painful past that you are finally ready to face. Perhaps it is about a simple meal you shared that suddenly felt sacred. Your sharing might be exactly what someone else needs to read on a day when they are about to say something harsh to their own parents. If this video script touched you, if it gave you even a small shift in how you see your parents, your home, and your destiny, please support this channel. You can subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment below if you wish to go further and help sustain the creation of long, heart-centered content like this. You can also consider joining as a member. Your support does more than help this channel. It is part of a web of offering that allows these reminders about awakening, wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and destiny to reach more people who are silently struggling. Thank you for spending this time here. May you and your parents, whether living or not, be wrapped in increasing understanding and peace. May you remember that your greatest temple may be as close as the next phone call, the next visit, the next quiet thank you spoken across a table. And may each act of filial offering you make from today onward become a step on the path of a brighter, freer destiny. There are moments when you see something, and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description, and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.